Okay, so, oh, there we go. I think it's just because we're all standing. Okay, so I'm going to ask a few questions first just to get things started, to encourage everybody to think about maybe questions they might have. It could be something general, it could be something directly about maybe one of the institutions up here. But what we're going to start with first is about test score policies. Now I know depending on different colleges, you know, they might have test optional, some aren't test optional, some may be already, but might be switching. So can you tell us a little bit, each and every one of you, about what your test policies are, and if there are going to be changes next year?
So the University of Scranton is a test optional school. However, we do, kind of base some of our merit scholarships off of test scores. So, obviously it's up to you if you want to submit them. You won't be penalized if you don't. But we do plan to keep that policy for now.
Marywood is also a test optional school, and we foresee that we will be test optional for the following year as well.
Drexel University has been test optional for the past 3 years. We are still waiting for our messaging from our leadership about what we're doing for 2024, so we will see. Stay tuned.
Millersville University is test optional through 2024, so juniors are safe. We base all of our scholarships merit-based off of your high school GPA at the end of your junior year, so if you decide to take test scores, they will only be able to help you out when it comes to admissions. They will not hurt you, and you won't be at a disadvantage if you don't have them.
Villanova is also test optional for the next 2 years, and then we'll make an announcement moving forward. But just like Millersville, we're truly test optional, so your application won't be at any disadvantage if you don't send test scores. We don't use them for our scholarship process as well. And also something I always like to mention is about 47% of our admitted students last year were test optional students, so students who didn't send in their test scores.
Same with all the rest of the universities. We are currently test optional across all 3 campuses. Again, with your test score, if you do submit it, it will only help you. It cannot hinder you, okay?
And DeSales University is also fully test optional. We intend to remain fully test optional. That goes for all of our academic majors, including our accelerated, direct entry, master's degree programs, etc. Truly no harm, no foul, just like all the other universities mentioned.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about test policies, or if they have a new question that they want to ask? Seems right on paper. Okay, so high school courses. So I was just mentioning earlier to all the reps about the lovely month that we had with course selection, and 99 of you somehow made it through and got through those courses and picked the ones that best fit you. So I wanted to ask the reps about the high school requirements for your college, in particular with any classes in sciences or math, how many years. Just for example, is there anything that may stand out within your college?
So at DeSales, we only go off of whatever high school you were, so obviously for Villa, we look at what your graduation requirements are. So as long as you are meeting the graduation requirements to graduate, we don't care really what classes you take. And just going off of that, since it's kind of a connected question, if you're taking any dual enrollment courses, AP courses, things like that, we accept those transfer credits really easily as well. Just thought I'd throw that in too.
Same with the cell, it just goes off of your graduation requirements. We won't ask for anything extra. Whatever your graduation requirements are, that's what we'll accept. Going off of your AP courses and dual enrollment, I would just say to check ahead of time to see if those transfer credits are transferable into the university.
So Villanova is a little bit of a longer answer, and all of this is on our website as well, so you don't have to memorize it. But we have 4 academic colleges: arts and sciences, business, engineering, and nursing. And we do have different academic requirements for each of those academic colleges. So for nursing, for example, we're looking for strong biology and strong chemistry. For engineering, we're looking for a physics class, and then also it really helps to have a calculus class as well. For the sciences, strong sciences. For business, we look for calculus. So it really depends on the academic college that you're applying into, but again, all of those are listed on our admission website if you want to learn more about it.
at Milledgeville University, similar to some of my colleagues here, as long as you're meeting your graduation requirements for your high school, those are our requirements as far as number of English classes, math classes. We do not have a foreign language requirement either. All of our academic majors have the same admissions criteria, so as long as we're admissible to Milledgeville University, we're admissible to your major. The only exception to that is our music programs do have that audition requirement, but as far as academics go, you are safe across the board.
And I guess my answer will be a lot like Villanova's answer, and this is also on our website, but it does really matter what major you're applying to at Drexel and what college. I always like to stress the toughest ones are computer science, biomedical engineering, software engineering. Ideally, we'd like to see those students have taken calculus by the end of their senior year. For our other engineering majors, at least pre-calculus, and for all the engineering majors, at least chemistry and physics by the end of your senior year. It does get easier from there. If you're looking at the science majors, biology, chemistry, physics, at least trigonometry or pre-calculus, and 2 years of a lab science. We consider core lab sciences to be just biology, chemistry, and physics. I mean, there's a lot of great other science courses out there, that's lovely, but biology, chemistry, and physics are really the key science courses. I was mentioning a little bit about the auditions. Our Westfall College of Media Art and Design is very unique because those majors get reviewed by my office, but also gets reviewed by the individual departments. So they are the whole process is holistic, but it's really holistic for those. So that's where portfolios play a role. If you're a dance major, you need an audition. So please just check all those requirements on our website.
At Marywood, similar to what everyone says, for admission to the university and pretty much what your graduation requirements are. And then we do have some nuances as well. Our music, you do have to audition, or we look for portfolio. For instance, architecture, we look for more like creative and math courses, but in general for acceptance, it's your graduation requirements.
Yeah, Scranton's pretty much the same as what my other colleagues have said. As long as you meet all of your graduation requirements for high school, then you are admissible at Scranton.
Does anybody have any questions or anything to add on about the courses and what they look for in your transcript? Yeah.
Scranton! Do you guys require physics for your nursing program? Sorry, can you say it again? Do you require physics for your nursing program? No, we don't require physics for that. Sometimes I will say though, if we're kind of on the fence about a decision when we're looking at applications, we will kind of look at for nursing, for example, we'll look at your science grades just to make sure that you're well versed in that area, because that's a lot of science and nursing, obviously. So.
Does anybody, just piggyback on from our students' question, especially with the nursing program, because we do have a good amount of students that are interested in science or medical field, and science was a big topic this year. So I was wondering, especially what you were just saying from University of Scranton, about what core courses they look for, especially in that science piece, because I know our students who are interested look into, especially electives, science courses, like anatomy, for example. So does that play a part in their transcript? Does it help them stand out, or is it just more oh, look, they did science courses or additional science courses?
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, it's just kind of can come down to a deciding factor when we're looking at transcripts. Like you said, anatomy, we do like to see that they have a good grade in anatomy for nursing, but yeah, I don't know.
Mary's very similar. You'll look at your science classes.
Yeah, Drexel, we do need 2 years of a lab science, so usually biology or chemistry. If you want to take physics, great, but usually at least biology and chemistry is preferred to see.
And also just add on, at Villanova, yeah, so 4 years of core science is really great. But again, that biology and chemistry are the two classes that we kind of zero in on for our nursing program. And it's always great to see if a student is challenging themselves in the classes that they're interested in. So if you're applying to nursing and you're able to take classes with a little more academic rigor, like maybe an honors level, AP level, whatever your high school offers, that's great to see as well.
Same as University of Scranton, it will come down to a deciding factor whether we look at those science courses or not, but right off the bat, we would not use that to determine. It's just your graduation requirements from your high school. If you're applying to the Bloomsburg or Mansfield University's nursing program, however, the admission process is a little different. We do require a TEAS score exam. So we do require that, and then on top of that, for our PA+2, which is the Physician Assistant Accelerated Program, you have to interview into that program. So that's like the only two different things in the sciences that we have.
So I pretty much have the same response in regards to DeSales University. We really, truly don't look at the courses. However, with that being said, we do have an accelerated physician assistant program as well, which has an interview requirement, and they will look a little bit more closely at your coursework. We also have an accelerated doctor of physical therapy program, an accelerated speech language pathology program. So those types of programs will look at your coursework a little bit, but even then, they truly are looking at your overall unweighted GPA more heavily, and just your academic work as a whole, because of course we know high school is a completely different animal than college. We intend to prepare you for your chosen career path and when you get to college. So we know that students from all different walks of life, all different high schools are going to come to us with a lot of different academic backgrounds. So we will prepare you no matter where you come from. So that's why we don't look at those things quite as heavily.
I just have a question to follow up to this. For the majors that are more competitive, nursing or science or medical, you know, that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting is if it's more competitive, then does, you know, the colleges look at the sequence of sciences to make sure you have your core. Back in the day, the core used to be bio, chem, physics, and then electives. Does that still, you know, kind of, is that considered for these more competitive majors?
So for our program specifically at DeSales, they truly are still going to look at what the graduation requirements are from each individual high school. You know, they do of course like to see a student that has a strong background in the sciences if that's the major that they're applying to, but it's not a make or break decision as long as you're graduating from high school.
Same thing.
Yeah, so at Villanova, it definitely, you know, for the more, it is going to come down to the classes that you're taking. So seeing that students have core science classes and, you know, are choosing to take classes with academic rigor, so, you know, again, the honors or AP level is always great to see. Nursing does tend to be one of our most competitive programs just because it's the smallest academic college. But biology also tends to be competitive because it's, you know, a popular science major, and then I would also say biochem has been really popular the past few years as well.
Again, at Millersville, we don't have specific criteria for the different majors, so as long as you're meeting that high school graduation requirement, we're not going to dive too much farther into like which specific science classes you're taking. But again, like some of my colleagues have said, looking at that GPA as a whole, looking at those grades across the board, you know, are you showing us that you are a strong, capable student? That's more looking at you holistically versus, you know, which science classes you were taking.
In addition to our nursing major, we also have a major in our College of Nursing called Health Sciences, which offer a bridge program into being a physician assistant and into a doctorate of physical therapy. You don't actually go through an interview process as a high school student for those programs. It's basically you come in, indicating that interest on your application, then you work with your advisors to apply into those accelerated programs as a current student. We also, I didn't mention, we have an 8-year medical program, the BSMD medical program. That is the only program that does still require SATs or ACTs. Super, super competitive. Someone asked me once, would you like to see a B on an AP course or an A in an honors course? And the answer is an A in the AP course, or something like that. So, just something to keep reminded.
Very similar to what everyone else said and kind of what you're saying too, that graduation requirements, and then if you're on the cusp, we'll look at your science classes and see how you did, how you challenged yourself there.
Yeah, again, same thing. I mean, I would say our three most competitive majors are nursing, PT, and OT, so obviously, you know, we just like to see a well-rounded student.
Thank you. We got we got students, we gotta ask them. Hold on, get around. I feel like Oprah doing this. Who held their hand up? Okay.
Also for the nursing program is direct admissions, like
Yeah.
into the nursing program.
Yeah, Scranton, we have a direct admit nursing program.
Yes, at Marywood too.
Yes, Drexel is a direct admit for all of our majors.
Again, if you're admitted to Millersville, you're admitted to any of our majors.
Villanova is direct admit as well.
Sort of. So our Bloomsburg University's nursing program is waitlisted right now because it's a little full. However, once you are admitted to the nursing program, it is a direct admit, if that makes sense. Okay.
And the sales nursing program is direct admit as well, and no cap.
What's the acceptance rate for in-state and out-of-state for each of your colleges?
I apologize, I genuinely don't have those figures, but I can get them for you.
Same.
Oh, okay, so we're a private school, so the acceptance rate is the same for in and out of state. Last year, for early action and regular decision, our acceptance rate was around 23%. So we're not fully through the cycle this year at Villanova, but that's our last year's data. Early decision is another way that you can apply. So we have early decision 1 and early decision 2. And a good way to apply if you're sure that that school is your absolute #1 choice because it is a binding commitment that you're making with that college or university. But I guess the benefit of applying early decision is that it does tend to have a higher admit rate than early action and regular decision. So our admit rate last year for early decision 1 and early decision 2 was around 55%, as opposed to that 23%.
So Millersville University is on a rolling admission, so we do not have those early action, early decision deadlines. So we can review apps sort of as they come in. Our our in-state and out-of-state admissions rate is the same. Whether you're in-state or out-state doesn't really affect whether or not we're going to admit you. And our admissions rate is pretty similar to the other state schools. We sit around 80% admissions.
And Drexel's a private university, so we don't have separate in-state or out-of-state decisions that are made, anything like that. We do have early action, early decision, and regular decision. Early decision is a very small portion. We get about 40,000 applications this past year. I think there's only a few hundred for early decisions.
Marywood is also rolling admission, so we don't have like early action or anything like that. And same, we're a private institution, so we don't separate in-state and out-of-state, and I don't have that number.
Okay. So Scranton also is a private institution, so our acceptance rate is the same across the board. We're around 80% acceptance rate, and we have early action, which is different from early decision. Early action is non-binding, so basically you can either get accepted or deferred. If you're deferred, it's no big deal. It just means, hey, we're going to take a step back, relook at your application during regular decision, and go from there. So,
does anybody have more questions about the acceptance rates or what they look for? Is it continuing on there? Okay.
It's kind of a continuing a little, but how many of your undergrads come in with their majors declared?
Actually, so ours is around like 50-50. We have a good amount of kids who come in undecided. If you come in undecided, it's no big deal. You get paired with an advisor that kind of help you pick out some classes based on stuff you're interested in, and then typically our kids will usually declare a major around sophomore year. But again, no big deal if you come in undecided. A lot of students come in that way.
Everything that you just said, pretty much. Not uncommon for students to come in undeclared, and then we'd set you up with an advisor to help you pick classes from there.
So Drexel actually just started an undecided program about 5, 6, 7 years ago now for the first year exploratory studies program. We asked you to indicate whether you want a STEM focus or a non-STEM focus. Reason being whether you need to take calculus and physics and things like that your freshman year. So that's only maybe like 200 kids or so, where we have about 2,800 freshmen. The other thing is you can be in certain colleges and be undeclared. So for example, we have undeclared engineering. So all the freshman engineers are taking the same classes anyway, whether you say you want chemical engineering or you say you want engineering undeclared. It's It's not a big deal. I think about half of those in the engineering are undeclared, and then by the end of their second year, they pick their specific major. The one college I definitely would encourage you, that if you're leaning towards it, to make it your first choice major, is in our Westfall College of Media Art and Design. Majors like music industry and architecture do not take internal or external transfers, so that's kind of a big deal.
At Millers, we have a good number of our students come in as undecided. Don't know exact numbers off the top of my head, but I would say probably about 30-40% of our students are coming in undecided. We do make your first semester class schedule for you as a student at Millersville. Regardless of your major, we're going to make that schedule for your first semester. So if you are undecided, you're going to get a survey from us. It's going to ask you some of your interests. What classes did you like in college? Which ones did you not like? What kind of careers might sound interesting to you? And kind of tailor some classes that our advisors say, you know what, I think that she might like this class. And then you will have an advisor who only works with our undecided students, will be assigned to you, and they will help you kind of say, okay, I like this section of this class, but I didn't like the rest of it, and kind of try to find ones that are more similar, and help you declare a major from there. You can stay undecided all the way into your junior year, understanding though if you do declare maybe one of our more stricter course sequence majors, you might add a little time. I usually use education as an example. There's a lot of classes you need to take as an ed major, and if you wait to take any ed classes until your junior year, you might add a little time, but it's not that you can't do it. It's just working with your advisor to get that scheduled out.
And Villanova is similar to Drexel in that we have two different exploratory majors that you can come into at Villanova. So you could come in as exploratory arts, if you know that you have a passion for the arts and the humanities classes, or you could come in as exploratory science. So either you're undecided, you have until the end of sophomore year to declare your major, and there's a lot of great seminars and great freshman advising that allow you to explore different options your first year.
So very similar to Millersville, since we are a state university as well, we do have like a great amount of students who come in through the exploratory studies program. And then some of our students who may not be admissible into those medical field science programs, we will still admit them through our exploratory studies, generally for the first year. Also with their first semester, we do pick their schedule for them, so it's just to give you a taste of some of your core courses that you would have had to take anyway, so.
So for DeSales University, pretty similar to what many of my colleagues have said, we have about 20% of our incoming class annually is exploratory studies or undeclared. We also set schedules for our incoming freshmen, so we also do a survey, similar to Millersville. But with that being said, we have some programs as well that have set academic requirements, and for those, if you don't meet those requirements, you will still be accepted into exploratory studies. And if I may, I apologize, I was unprepared for the previous question. I got tripped up, but to answer, we are also a private institution, and our acceptance rate is the same for in-state and out-of-state. We have about 75% acceptance rate.
Thank you. I think we have just about maybe 2 questions. So the bell may ring, but please sit tight, okay? Once we get through it, then you'll be able to go to lunch, or if you have questions that you do want to ask, maybe one-on-one, stick around, okay?
Once you get accepted into the university, is there any religion or foreign language courses that are required to graduate?
So at DeSales, we are a Catholic university, so we do have one required Catholic course that all students are required to take, but it's very introductory. You're not required to be a practicing Catholic by any means to attend DeSales. Typically, only about 50% of our student body are practicing Catholics. So you do have that one required Catholic theology course, and then one additional other theology course that can be varied. So we have like Eastern religions, world religions, things like that. As far as foreign languages, we give you the option of whether you take a world culture or a foreign language course.
Commonwealth University, no, you do not have to take any religious courses. With foreign language, that just is up to your academic department if that's the major direction you would like to go in.
So Villanova is also a Catholic university, so there is a small core curriculum that every student takes. Every student takes a class called the Augustine and Culture Seminar. It's over the course of 2 semesters, and it's a little bit of a history lesson along with a little bit of theology. But the neat thing about that class is it's actually a living learning community. So you take that class with students that live in your residence hall, who you might not have a class with. So it kind of helps you acclimate to campus, get to know students that you're living with. Every other student has to take a philosophy course as a part of our core curriculum. And then after that, it really is just up to your academic department what you have to fulfill. In terms of foreign language, I can tell you that in our School of Liberal Arts, you do have a foreign language requirement, and then also as a global business major, you have a foreign language requirement as well.
Millersville being a public state institution, we do not have any religious component to our requirements. As far as the language component, your general education classes are going to be broken down into different sort of sections. You have to take so many classes in each one. One of those general ed components can be fulfilled with the language requirement if you would like, but it can also be fulfilled with like a linguistics class or as my colleague said, a world cultures class. So you have options that you need to do so many of, and if you would like to take that with language, you can. If you're bringing in dual enrollment classes or AP credits with that language or CLEP scores when it comes to the language, that can also fulfill that credit as well.
Some people think we're a Catholic university because they've heard of St. Catherine Drexel, but that is actually the niece of our founder. We do not have a religious affiliation, so no religious course requirements. For foreign languages, if you're a global studies major, I believe they're the only ones that do require one, but we encourage people to take foreign language electives. We have them in most of the modern languages, especially if you're looking to study abroad. So.
Marywood is a Catholic university, so our religious requirement is 2 religious classes. The first one is called Modern Day Belief. It's a survey course of all popular religions in the world today. Students tend to really like that class. And then that second class is an elective of your choosing. There's like women in religion and some other really interesting ones like that. And then we do have a modern language requirement.
So the University of Scranton is a Catholic and Jesuit university, so we do have a requirement. You have to take 2 theology classes as well as 2 ethics classes. I really enjoyed those, especially with the ethics classes. You can kind of choose ones that kind of apply to you. So I took medical ethics because I was a health administration major. And then as far as languages, some of your majors may require it. I know international business, you have to take a certain amount of years of language, and then you can also choose to minor in the language. So obviously, would take those courses then, but that's about it.
Thank you. And I do have one more question before we go. I may know this answer, but everybody needs to learn as well too. The self-report academic record, or known as the SRAR, are any of the colleges up on stage requiring the students to fill out the SRAR?
I don't know.
Okay. And is anybody switching over to that in the next year or so? Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because that's big now changed. But all right, so everybody, I want to thank you, and I think this is one, okay, no. I want to thank you all for your participation. You guys did great. So you are dismissed. If you do have questions, please come stand up. And like I said, if you have questions, please come forward.